All right. Say something.
What's up?
All right. Looks like the audio's working. Sorry about that, everybody. Technical difficulties, but this is Kenoshi Abominito here with Project Console, episode 56, Death to Chronos. And before we get into our topics, I'd like my panelists to introduce himself.
What's up? Mr. Red Fox here.
Uh, Glad to have you. So, as you know, the Game Awards happen, and as we stated before the cast, neither of us were impressed by it. I watched a little bit of it inside of a Discord call, and it's just one big kind of stupid commercial. Like, the awards aren't all that important. Like, there's really no. The awards just feel like filler. Everything just it felt like a filler. It felt like a burrito that had nothing but filler. It didn't even have really any of the good stuff. It didn't have really any rice or beans. It just had like tomato
Bread.
and lettuce and
Just
more.
no bread.
Yeah, it's just more bread.
Because tomato and lettuce are actually delicious. Just
Yeah.
bread.
Yeah. So it's just like a burrito wrapped in more burrito. It wasn't even. It just there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Like anybody that gives the Game Awards credibility about any of its awards or who wins Game of the Year or whatever, I don't know what to tell you. But there was a couple of things that came out of the Game Awards. There were a few announcements. Were there any announcements that stick out to you? I wrote down a few that I remembered, and that was I know Hades 2. That was a big one for me personally. Now instead of fighting Hades, now we're fighting Chronos. Instead of going up out of Hades, now we're going
Fight your way into
depths.
Hades.
Yeah, you're finding your way into Hades. So,
Yeah. I mean, the Hades thing looked cool. The Bayonetta Spinoff, prequel, whatever, it looked interesting.
yeah. Not sure what to make of Judas. That was the maybe the Bioshock team.
This is what Ken Levine's been working on all these years.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird. It was a CGI trailer. That was another problem, but we'll get to that in a second. The CGI problem. Street Fighter 6. They showed off more gameplay of that. They gave a release date. That game looks pretty good. And yeah, that game's starting to look better and better. And then you have the Bayonetta series. They also announced a new what is that mech game called again? It's a new mech game. It's a new mech game in a relatively well known but niche series, and it's made by the company that makes the Souls game. Do you remember the name of it?
From Software.
Yeah,
They're making another
Software.
Armored Core. They're coming back to Armored Core after
Core.
all these damn years.
Yeah, they're making a new Armored Core. I think it's called like Fire something Rubicon or something. I don't know.
Fires over Rubicon.
Yeah,
Fires over the Rubicon.
Title too. So yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I like Armored Core. It was a premier mech series, and I'm surprised From Software is coming back to it because From Software loves making games and then not doing a damn like they'll make a legendary series and then they'll move away from it.
Yeah, but they've been making the Souls games for over a decade now because it made them a decent amount of money. But yeah, so a new Armored Core game is coming out. Is that the game? Is that the technical game that they sold back in the day with that really complex controller that cost like?
No, it was not From Software. That was Capcom.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Capcom made that. From Software, Armored Core was actually on the PlayStation, and it basically was kind of like a. It was like a. What's the word I can look for? How can I put this the best way? Armored Core was essentially kind of like a. Like a strategy first-person shooter. It was like a strategy mech game.
Yeah.
I actually liked it. It's one of those games that's hard to get into because, like, it's like a simulation. So you kind of have to, be aware of that. And most people didn't want to be aware of that it's like a simulation and you actually have to, like, do stuff,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
People don't like that. People don't want to have to go through all that. They want to do whatever. So it was a different beast.
Yeah. Yeah, that it was.
I'm a sucker for mech. Like, I haven't played a good mech game in years. So I like stuff like that. So I'm actually looking forward to it. I hope it's on multiple consoles because I don't want to have to get a PlayStation, a PS5, just to play it.
Yeah.
Because every time I drive... No, sorry, go ahead.
Oh. I was just going to say, like, the disappointing things about the... Well, I mean, this has been information for a while, but Final Fantasy 16 is time exclusive to PlayStation 5.
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
I'll just wait to get it. I won't be spending, X amount of dollars on it because I'm cheap.
Yeah. It's just kind of funny that all of a sudden Sony cares about Square out again.
Yeah, because Microsoft is trying to do stuff, and they're like, we can't have that.
Yeah.
Because Microsoft might own some shit.
That's why everybody's sitting around hoping they buy Square.
They're not going to buy Square. Because they'd have to spend billions of dollars to buy Square, and Microsoft, Sony doesn't have billions of dollars to spend on Square Enix. They don't have the money.
They also have to buy all their debt. And they have to take on that debt along with the
Square Enix doesn't have that much debt.
Oh.
No. It's not the debt. It's the fact that Square Enix is really valuable, and they'd have to spend a fuck ton of money to get them. And like, remember when Microsoft bought Bethesda and ZeniMax and all the shit ZeniMax owned, which is Bethesda, id, like all those other studios ZeniMax bought. And what was Sony's thing? We're buying Bungie, which is a much smaller studio.
Yeah.
They don't have the money to do it. I mean, I know some people are like, oh, Sony doesn't have, like, Sony is to Microsoft what Nintendo is to Sony.
Yeah.
In terms of the amount of money except Nintendo is in much better financial shape than Sony is because they aren't carrying mountains of debt.
Yeah.
But there's just certain shit there's certain shit that they can do that other people can't do because by virtue of how much money they have. And that's basically like Microsoft can do shit. Like Microsoft offered $69 billion to buy Activision. $69 billion. I mean, Sony wishes if Sony could pull out that type of money, they wouldn't care. Because they could just buy whatever studio they wanted to compete. They can't do it. They don't have the money for it.
If you were to receive crumbs of that $69 billion, you would be set for life.
Yeah, I wouldn't have to work again.
Yeah.
I could literally just sit on my ass and do nothing for the rest of my life, and I still would be fine.
Exactly.
All right, so when people tell me when people say stupid shit to me like, oh, well, when people say, oh, well, why don't they just do this, do that? It's like, do you understand how money works and how, like, Microsoft has so much money, it's almost ungodly.
Yeah.
They've got more money than some small countries have as gross domestic product over a decade.
Yeah.
Or 20, 30, 40. Basically, Microsoft has a fuck ton of money. All right? There you go.
Yeah.
Scientifically speaking, is what we call in the business circles is a fuck ton. All right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have a metric fuck ton of money. They have more money than God.
Yeah.
God looks at Microsoft and says, I wish I had that much money. That's how much money Microsoft has. All right? Microsoft has FU money. All right? They can just go to people and say, I don't care. F you.
But yeah, one of the biggest problems with the Game Awards was the problem that a lot of these game shows have, and that is CGI cutscenes. And not even, it's like, at the point, it's like, it's not just CGI cutscenes, it's like CGI cutscenes with no conceptual, idea behind it. It's just like, well, here's this game that nobody's heard of. Like, for example, Armored Core 6 coming out, being a CGI cutscene, that's obviously an announcement of a series that's been dormant for years. But, like, you announce a game that nobody's heard of or seen or, doesn't really have a legacy. You announce it with a CGI cutscene like it's some kind of big deal. And you don't even show conceptual gameplay. That's just kind of like,
why?
Okay, why are we here? Why are you here? Why did you show up to this show? Why is anybody paying attention to you and what you have to say?
Because Jeff Keighley needed to fill X amount of time.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, just bring what you got and we'll roll with it. That's what Jeff Keighley probably said. He's like, look, bring what you got and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's fairly obvious knowing what went on here, okay? Because Jeff Keighley's a tool, okay? And we all know this. We all know this to be true. Jeff Keighley is a tool. The only good thing about Jeff Keighley, Dorito Pope, is that he single-handedly destroyed the Xbox One.
Yeah.
That's the only good thing about him. He got Don Matrick fired. That is the only...
He destroyed that man's career.
Well, I mean, he didn't destroy Don Matrick's career. Don Matrick destroyed his own damn career because he wouldn't stop. He towed the party line, not reading the room. Yeah. You know, like Don Matrick is like a guy who went into a women's domestic violence support group and was talking about how he loved beating the shit out of his wife in that group. Yes, I beat the shit out of her. It's like, do you understand right now? Are you not comprehending what you're saying, sir? Do you not understand? That was Don Matrick. Because Don Matrick did not read the room.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like, I don't need to read the room because I'm Don Matrick. And I was successful years ago with the Xbox 360, not realizing that every time you start a new console, it's a new generation. What worked before is not guaranteed to work again. Don't believe me? Let's go talk to Nintendo about the Wii U.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Now, personally, I love the Wii U. It's one of my favorite consoles. But just because I like the Wii U doesn't mean it was a commercial success. It was not.
Yeah.
The Switch is amazing. It's a commercial success for Nintendo. To me, the Switch is kind of a shitty console. And not a great handheld either. But, whatever. It's Don Matrick. He's a douchebag. But yeah, Jeff Keighley single-handedly destroyed the Xbox One and Diametric with an interview. And he didn't even ask. And here's the thing: he didn't even ask hard questions. It's not like Jeff Keighley was asking like the tough, hard-hitting questions. He was just like, okay, so a lot of people have concerns about always being online. Like, is there anything that can be done? No, you just got to deal with it. It's like what? We have a product for customers like that. It's called the Xbox 360. It's like, what?
Yeah, you gotta love that. Yeah, you gotta love that.
And then they had people who worked at Microsoft doubling down on it. Like, hashtag deal with it, Adam Orth.
Yeah.
Hashtag just deal with it. And Major Tom Nelson is like, yeah, well, we can't just press a switch. Yeah, but you can, though.
Yeah.
Like you did.
Yeah. Again, I think I've heard people bring this up. It's like there were too many chefs and not enough cooks pertaining to that console, and Don Metric had to go out and try to sell this piece of shit.
Basically. Well, the thing is the hilarious thing about all of it is that like everyone's like, Sony's our friend. Sony saved us. Sony's doing the exact same thing Microsoft wanted to do.
They were just.
But it's worse because Microsoft was open about it. Look, we want to. What? No, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you finish your thought.
No, the difference is that Microsoft was at least had balls enough to tell it to your face. I mean, I'd rather someone tell me to my face they're trying to fuck me versus lying about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather someone say, look, this is not, like, I'd rather someone tell me this is a unsure this is a risky investment, you might not make your money back. I'd rather someone do that than lie to me and say, no, you're totally going to make your money back, and then after the fact, I'm broke. Oh, well, we never guarantee. Come on, man.
Yeah, Yeah, Sony isn't your friend. They just did all Sony was doing anything that they were just doing anything that would work in their favor. They're just being advantageous pertaining to the situation. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's just like people have to realize that these companies are
don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah,
they want your money.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck about you personally. They want your money. Same thing with Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft. They don't care about you. If Sony can do the bare minimum and get a ton of money, that's what they'll do. Hence the PlayStation Mini, the PlayStation Classic, which they did the bare minimum and they expected people to spend like $100. I think initially it was like $89 or $99, and then they started lowering the price because people realized, oh, they want more than this lazy ass attempt that we did.
Yeah, so, and with that, like instead of acting like these companies are your friends, we should the companies want to make profit and they want to make money, and we as the customer want decent products and decent support from those products since we're giving them money. So, I mean, we should act like that instead of trying to act like these companies are our friends that are looking out for our best interests.
They are not looking out for your best interest. The only time a company looks out for your best interest is when it's advantageous for them.
Yep.
When it works for them, then they care about what's best for their consumers. Yeah. Like if it isn't advantageous for them, they do not give a shit.
Nope.
All right? And the sooner gamers understand that, the happier they will be. Okay? These companies are not your friend. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you. Sony don't care about you. Microsoft don't care about you. Nintendo don't give a fuck about you. Pokemon Company don't give a fuck about you. Because if they did, they wouldn't have put that shit out in the state it was. Okay? You mean nothing to them. What they care about is your money.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just one of the things that the and going back to the VGAs, like this show is supposed to be shorter, but it's still about 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, because Jeff Keighley had to have everything get paid for. How do they pay for the VGA? Commercials.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
had to be long enough to get all the commercials of all the people who paid for the shit. I
yeah.
mean, it's fairly obvious what's going on. The VGAs has turned into one big commercial
I mean,
because Jeff Keighley has to get it paid for.
and
Say whatever you want to about the Academy Awards, but it's also there. Yes, you have the actors and the directors, the film industry filleting itself, but it's also about the art of making movies. Whereas, like, there is no art. Like, I hate to say this, but video games are not an art. They are a business. You're selling a product.
yeah. I mean, when it comes to the mainstream, I mean, you do have your artsy, tempting artsy
Indie
games.
games. Yeah.
Yeah, but like in general, yeah, it's a product at the end of the day.
Yeah.
More so than
Most.
making
No,
a
sorry.
statement,
Go ahead.
making it rather than just making a statement. And as you said, there's literally there's hardly any standards in how games are judged. Look at the
For
VGAs.
me,
Look at how inconsistent the awards are. Like, really, the only reason Stray won Best Indie Game is because of all the people that were streaming it.
and the
Like,
push.
yeah, and the push. Like, really, you're saying that Stray is a better game than Tunic? Like, okay,
I mean,
I
I've
get
seen Stray. I've seen Stray. It's not a terrible game. I actually think it is. It deserves some level of accolades because the concept is pretty good. But the problem is that there are also other games that deserve to get the push. But I guarantee the people who made Stray lobbied for that game to get made, and it was streamed, and it was heavily, people were talking about it, and that's what made them happy. It's not that the game. And then there are games that win awards that aren't really that good. I mean, we've seen games like that.
yeah, yeah. Um, it's it's why the VGA is wildly inconsistent. It's done by a panel of people. They want to be taken seriously like the Oscars. I don't think that's the path that a big time video game award show should go.
I agree.
I think it should embrace more of the gaming cultures, but do it in a tasteful manner. You know.
Well, I mean, there should be standards on how games are getting judged. It's like if a game is really fucking buggy, it shouldn't be allowed to be moved on up the rank because as a product, it's severely flawed. Like if a movie comes out and it's sloppily, shoddily shot, shoddily the script is bullshit. Special effects are trash. Like every other aspect of it is fucking. The acting is terrible. It's not gonna go forward. They wouldn't even submit that shit to the Academy, and yet games that are fundamentally flawed are winning, even though they're trash.
Yep. Yeah,
So
exactly.
I don't want to hear that. Oh, it's like the Academy for games. Bullshit.
No. No, no. I'm not even really a movie buff. I don't take these
Okay,
movies.
let's take it to books. Let's take it to books.
No,
If
I
if
was.
you had a book, if someone had a book, right, and they submitted it to, let's say, Sci-Fi Jupiter Award, and they submit the manuscripts for this book is so great, it changed culture, it has a really good ideas, and you open the manuscript and it's filled with typos, run-on sentences, it's poorly written. It's like this shit can't be submitted. What the fuck is this?
Yeah,
And yet
yeah,
we're seeing this in games,
yeah.
games that are fundamentally broken.
What I was gonna say is that even somebody who's not as versed in movies as you are understands that the VGAs is not the Film Academy. It's
Oh
not
no,
even close to the same thing.
And it never will be, because there's no standard in which you can say, okay, this is not qualified.
Yeah.
Like movies, there are movies. Yeah, this movie may have did X, Y, or Z, but it is not qualified to be in the Academy because it is too flawed.
Yeah.
And yet, games that are hot buttered trash, games that are hot buttered trash can be in the. I mean, look. I mean, we've seen and this isn't just a VGA thing. This is gaming in general. Like, I remember when Dragon Age Inquisition won Game of the Year. That game is not Game of the Year by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. Bayonetta 2 was a better functioning game than Dragon Quest Inquisition. I mean, you can make the argument though. Oh well, it was an RPG, so you had choices, so you had all these other moving parts. It's like,
There's some problems with
no,
that statement.
no,
For one
I don't.
thing, Dragon Age Inquisition had less player choice than the previous two games in the title. Also, Dragon Age Inquisition was missing a whole it's not a good RPG when I can create better classes, when the classes that I can create for my characters are actually less diverse than the classes that I can create in
Older titles.
no in older titles, yeah. Like the main character, like the classes you could create in Dragon Quest Inquisition were just derivations of classes you could create in like the main game for the other characters. Like there were no specialized classes for any of these characters. Like in Dragon Age Origins, you had 9 different classes on top of the main warrior, rogue, and um, spellcaster. So on top of that, you could spec out into a ranger. You could spec out into like a soldier of fortune. You could spec out into a berserker, a dragon knight. You could spec out into a dashing rogue with like daggers and two swords, a duelist. You could be a juggernaut mage who used a weapon. Like all these different things. Dragon Age Inquisition and Dragon Age 2, trash. Overly simplified.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was thinking of another game. Oh, these games came out a little later, but still, it had the Divinity Original Sin games, the newer ones, 1 and 2. They probably had more moving parts than Dragon Age Inquisition, but it wasn't a broken piece. It wasn't a broken piece of trash. I mean,
No, it was not.
I heard people, and you know, and obviously that company's smaller than uh, BioWare. I'm sure since they have
Larian?
yeah, yeah, since they have EA money. So
Yeah, but the problem with BioWare these days is that their most talented people don't really how can I put this nicely? They don't work there anymore.
yeah,
Their most talented people left.
yeah, yeah. A lot of those people moved on. Either probably went to go work at different studios, start their own studios, or moved on to something else entirely.
So, you know, people just don't understand that you know, and they don't make good like BioWare hasn't made a good game yet. Since the age of like their best people. They haven't made a good game since then. And I know some people are going to be like, "Oh, well, don't say that." It's like, "Come on." y'all know they haven't made a good game in years.
Yeah.
What was the last good BioWare game? I don't mean you liked it. I mean, when I say this is a rhetorical question. I don't mean in terms of someone saying, "Well, I just like the game." I mean, legitimately good.
A game that was critically acclaimed, a game that got universal praise. Probably Mass Effect 2 was the game I remember people really liking.
And that game had issues because it basically took out a lot of the they took out a lot of the really cool stuff that was there.
Yeah, they made it more into the problem. I hear people who are really into Mass Effect is they kind of made it more into a shooter and less of an RPG. They focus more on shooting stuff than RPG.
They stripped out a lot of the RPG mechanics, like the hardcore RPG mechanics were stripped out. Because like Mass Effect 1 is an RPG first, shooter second. Mass Effect 2 is an action shooter first, RPG second. Mass Effect 3 just says fuck it and says, "Oh, you want an RPG? Don't bring your ass around here."
Yeah.
Take your ass across the street because we ain't got it around here for you.
And one of the biggest problems I hear that game had was the fact that they had that the writers essentially locked themselves in a closet. Nobody was able to really hold them accountable for their writing. They were just pretty much kept to themselves when it came to how the script was written. So
the thing they got a new writing team for Mass Effect 3 with only a few of the old writers in charge. Not even in charge, but over there. And what they were building up to, if you played Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3 should have been Shepard getting all the different races together to fight against the Reapers.
Yeah.
And that's what they tried to do, but the conclusion was just hot butter trash. And how you got, like, which races you got and how you got different other races to join you would have depended on the choices you made in the previous two games. So if you helped Erdnot Rex with the Krogans in Mass Effect 2, and, you know, if you got this, forgot the name, the race that put the genophage on the Krogans, if you got them to undo that, that would mean the Krogans were going to help you in that final fight. And the Silurians and the Turians and the Quarians, like all those people together to fight against the Reapers. Because it was basically, like, it was going to be a fight of these machines versus organics. And the other machines, like, getting the Geth out of the control of them joining in the fight. Like, all these species, all these different races coming together to fight against this thing that's trying to do total annihilation of all life. That was what it was supposed to be. And they, like, I don't know how you dropped the ball on that, but they did.
Yeah.
They dropped the fucking ball. Oh boy, did they not only did they drop the ball, they shit in the pool and then they dropped the ball. It's like, yeah, this pool looks a little dirty. Because you shit in it and you dropped the ball.
But the thing, going back to the VGA, since we went off on the how BioWare has fallen from grace tangent. Mm-hmm. But going back to the VGAs,
right?
Really, the biggest thing people were talking about, because you know the show was super boring. Was the troll at the end of the VGAs after?
Oh, you mean Bill Clinton?
Yeah, the Bill Clinton troll. Yeah, I was like, yeah, and
that Jeff made it fun though.
What?
That made it fun. That was a bright spot. You know it's bad in your show when someone trolling people by dressing up like Bill Clinton. coming out is more enjoyable than the actual show. The only thing would have been better is if you come out and sounded like Bill Clinton. How y'all doing? I did not have sexual relations with that woman. You want to come over here and smell my finger? That would have been great, actually.
Yeah. And the thing,
but we didn't get that.
Jeff Keighley came up in a huff, like, "Oh, how dare you disrupt my sacred VGAs?"
Like, fuck his VGAs.
Yeah,
like exactly. That guy. Remember that guy at the VGA said, "Fuck the Oscars, fuck the VGAs." There you go. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Oh man. Yeah. I just that was just funny. It was just hilarious. It was and it did really turn out to be the one thing everybody talked about. Like, nobody talked about the awards. Nobody really cared. It's just like, yeah, this kid went up and trolled the VGAs,
which is fun. To me, that's fun.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, maybe make a better show. Maybe make,
or make it shorter.
Make it shorter.
Talk about shit that actually is interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe either that or get the community involved. And I don't mean voting on their favorite games where people can spam the shit. Have these fucking nerds who normally would be spamming and asking all these stupid ass questions. Have them say, "Hey, write an essay about why this game should be nominated, should win for this category."
Yeah.
But that would actually be something useful and tasteful, and might help gaming on the whole. And we can't have that.
Well, the thing is, if you are watching the show and you want a Steam Deck, maybe the show is actually worth it.
Yeah, but that's because you want a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Because a Steam Deck is awesome. A Steam Deck in form is like a super, like in form. And you have a Steam Deck, and you weren't locked into their shitty ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nintendo fanboys. Did I hurt your feelings? Did I hurt your feelings? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Here, let me walk that back. It's like a Switch, but with more horsepower under the hood and better frame rates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, hopefully they don't get mad, send me hate mail.
Anyway, so PlayStation VR 2 was announced a few months ago, and oh yeah, there was somebody complaining about, or not complaining, but they were curious, wondering if some of their older titles are going to work with VR 2. People who bought the PlayStation VR can carry over their games that are going to be ported to VR 2 if there's an upgrade path. But guess what? There probably won't be. So you'll have to buy the game all over again. So if you spent $40, $50, $60 on this game, you'll probably be spending $70 on it. So, I hope you got the money to splurge.
I think it's too expensive.
Yeah.
I think it's too gutted. I think that the fact that in order for you to have PlayStation VR, you're spending as much as you are for a PS5 on top of it is, I mean, like, here's my question. How many times does the game industry have to do the same thing and it not work before they realize they got to do something different? Because, like, consistently, like, This shit didn't work when Sega did the shit with the PlayStation CD, with the Sega CD and the Sega 32X. So why the fuck would they try it again? And it worked with the PS4 VR.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason that they broke even on the PlayStation 4 VR was because they repurposed a lot of those PS Move shit so they didn't have to spend a lot of money to use it again.
Yeah.
Like, when will people just stop doing this shit?
And it's kind of why I started gaming on, well, the reason I started gaming on PC, because consoles were just becoming too weird. It's like, well, I mean, everything that I own will work on a souped up computer. So instead of happening to rebuy everything all over again, like, you know, if they figured out how to create some kind of ecosystem, like phones have with their hardware, that they can upgrade and things could carry over to the next generation particularly easy, then you know, this sort of stuff wouldn't be a problem. But at the same time, they don't want to do that because they know that people will double dip, because people in the past did double dip and did buy the HD version of a game that was already in HD last year. It's like, well, we can still squeeze these chumps for all they're worth. So, at some point, this game is going to run out, and you know, people are gonna just get sick of the nonsense and be like, nope, not this time.
Can't take this shit no more.
Yeah, it's like, you know, now you're charging $70 for a game that was $40, you know, last gen. It's like, whoa, what is this?
Well, I mean, Sony gamers are kind of stupid, and they will accept any bullshit. They're almost like Nintendo gamers in accepting bullshit. So I don't know, man. It could happen.
Yeah.
Anything is possible.
Yeah. Yeah. At some point, people have to you know, figure out. It's like, you know, I could just, you know, keep buying this stuff, because the problem is that people will double dip, and then they'll jump on YouTube and bitch about an hour and a half why this is just absolutely wrong, while, you know, the big dogs at Sony or Nintendo or Microsoft are going to be laughing their asses off because you just gave them more money. So
Yeah.
you know, it's like,
I agree. I don't disagree. I agree 100%.
yeah.
I agree with you. Are you there, Kenoshi?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay. I agree with you. They're just going to keep on, like, I agree with you. PlayStation VR is hot butter trash. It's not going to get better. And them charging $70 for games that look, if you're dumb enough to spot this game last gen, like the Ultimate Edition, for like 40 or $50, and then you're gonna buy it again for slightly better graphics for 70, you deserve to lose your money because you're stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
And you clearly have too much disposable income.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's what it boils down to. You have too much disposable income.
Yeah. Anyway, so free topic. You got any free topics?
I have one. Real quick. Why aren't gamers spending more money on good shit. Like it's all a bunch of bullshit. Why don't people put some money in some good shit? Why?
It's because they don't. People are easily amused, for one thing. People are very easily amused. Um, you don't really have to work hard. And this goes for a lot of media, books, movies, music. You don't really have to work hard to craft a really intricate product. You know, all you have to do is be able to make it look relatively decent, and um, then advertise it in such a way that it makes it look more important than it actually is. And then obviously you'd also have to know your audience. And then watch as the money just comes rolling in.
Well,
I mean, Call of Duty is basically the same game every year.
yeah, but I mean, you could say the same thing about Pokemon or a 2D or a 3D Mario game. They are essentially the same thing over and over again. And
Mm,
yet people like them.
yeah. I mean, it's just. I mean, it's just like your cheesy pop music. You know, it's not anything typically. I mean, if you want to get down to the mechanics of music, it's typically not anything all that impressive. But you know, it sells a lot. People like it. You hear it everywhere you go, whether you're going to the grocery store or you're going to some sort of event. Um, it's super catchy. Uh, the people who sing the songs are usually super attractive. Uh, so and it's the same with games. It's just there's something captivating uh, about the next Call of Duty game for a lot of people. A lot of their friends pick it up. It's a social thing. Um, with Mario, it's a lot of it has to do with nostalgia. You also have the colors, the catchy music, the level design, um, the unoffensive characters.
But I
Uh,
think I think Mario's very offensive. I mean, he's this little Italian American plumber who goes around curb stomping people. I mean, that's pretty fucked up when you think about it. I mean, he basically goes around sharing his past conquests with his brother.
I guess so. If you want to look that deep into it.
That's not deep. That's just that's what it is. Who is currently Luigi's girlfriend?
Daisy,
Yeah. Who did Daisy used to date?
Mario.
Yeah. So what else would you call that?
Oh yeah,
I
makes
mean,
sense.
it's. I mean, hey, look, man. But this kid friendly. I mean, you got two brothers passing around a chick. I mean, that's kind of fucked up. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. And it's not like Mario died and no one talked about it. It's like Mario's still running around, his brother's still running around. It's kind of, I mean, it's disgusting, really.
Yeah,
But oh no, this is for kids, man. This is kid friendly. Don't
yeah.
you know that? This is for kids. This whole thing is for kids. It's always been for kids. Even though we have uh, a dude and his brother, you know, going with the same chick.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong here. There's nothing weird or disgusting about it. You know, we just got to deal with it. You know, I mean, you know. But if you say that, people get mad.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, don't think that hard about it. Look, listen, I'm not saying that I sit there and I'm like, just like dwelling on it. But I mean, if you really like, if you get down to it, none of this shit's kid friendly. Pokemon, you're making animals fight. It's like dog fighting
Yeah.
or cockfighting or making crickets fight. I mean, that's kind of fucked up too.
Yeah.
But we don't say anything about that. We just, you know, we just deal with it. But don't say anything because people get mad. It's like, how dare you say that? So that's the rule of thumb. It's how dare you say something that people don't want to hear. So I'm gonna be quiet, keep it moving. But none of this shit's kid friendly. Except Mario Kart. Mario Kart is very kid friendly, unless you are playing it with a group of your friends or family members, and you're in the lead, and someone gets a blue shell and hits you right as you're about to hit the first win, and hear you cussing. That's not very friendly at all.
Well, that's how you
You mother.
Tell you a game that's not very family friendly. That's the Mario Party games. That's a
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. You want to hear someone get cursed out? Okay. Yeah, go play Mario and have someone get one of those things where they can just screw everyone else over on the board. It's like, if I'm not gonna win, ain't nobody else gonna win. Oh yeah, but this is for family. Bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
Yeah. But
But then again, no, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say my free topic is Hideo Kojima, Death Stranding 2. Looks like a mess, like the first game. I don't know why
People are gonna buy it because the cult of Kojima is real.
Yeah, it's like people are melting and gushing all over this game. It's like, man, I can't wait to see what this is gonna be. This is gonna be something special.
Is
You
it
guys
though?
were struggling to play the last game. You guys couldn't. I bet there's still people that haven't come to terms. Like, man, it's just a walking simulator. Like,
Well, don't forget you can bottle your shit and throw it at people. So that's kind of interesting.
yeah.
I mean, look, the fact that you can bottle your shit and throw it at people is, I mean, you've already made me say, "Whoa, I've never seen that in a game." That's something I've never heard of that shit before. No pun intended.
Yeah.
No pun intended. But that shit is out of this world. But yeah, people are gonna buy it because the cult of Kojima is real. There are people who Kojima could shit. It's like Pokemon fans. You know how Pokemon fans, the Pokemon company, could shit in a box, and there are certain Pokemon fans who call it Pokemon Brown, Pokemon Dookie Brown, and people would buy it because it's Pokemon.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, the cult of Kojima is alive and well. At some point, people just have to wake up and realize, like, this is just some nonsense. You know, this is just the ramblings of a. This is just the
Of a
ramblings
madman.
of a madman. Yeah. What are we doing here? Why are we here? Are you paying attention to this? And you have people who will get on top of their high horse and talk about how much of a genius Kojima is. Like, oh,
He
okay,
is not a
okay,
genius.
okay. Ripping off the Postman Part 2.
Yeah, but the Postman's actually, well, the book is pretty good. The movie,
I
movie
heard
not
the
so
movie's,
much.
yeah, I heard the movie's pretty terrible.
And the problem with the movie is that, like, the hilarious thing about the Postman is that the book is actually like, um, Kevin Costner's character is not the hero. He's a character, but he doesn't save the day. It's his actions actually inspire people around him, um, and that's what makes it kind of interesting, and also kind of a good book. The movie, like, Kevin Costner had to be the hero because Kevin Costner always fucking has to be the hero in everything he's in, and that's where the Postman kind of falls apart a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I just watching that trailer and it's just like
What, you don't like Norman Reedus, old man Norman Reedus? It's like Old Man
mm,
Logan, but it's Norman Reedus.
old man Norman Reedus and the weird baby. It's like, where the heck does he come up with these weird ideas? It's like,
Personally, I think he does a lot of drugs.
yeah, I'm guessing that too. It's just, what?
And I know people, like, I remember one time I was on a call when I was in Gamers at Large, and the guy's like, "No, they don't do drugs in Japan." I'm like, "Are you insane?
Nah, I'm sure they do drugs in Japan. I'm sure they
They do
figure it
drugs
out.
in Japan. Look at some of the shit these people make. You can't be on air and not be able to make shit like this."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Smoking some ayahuasca, maybe mushrooms. He's not doing weed. Weed's too weak for the stuff he comes up with. He's doing
It's some
something.
strong shit.
Yeah, he's doing something heavy.
Weed would just have him be mellow and cool. He's doing something stronger than weed.
Yeah, yeah. Also, my next free topic: the FTC and the European Trade Commission were getting in a legal pissing match, and the Europe basically Europe called out the FTC, said that they were lying about what Microsoft said, and then they technically didn't lie because it was just, I don't know. The whole thing's a mess. It's gonna be a while before we see anything happen with this buyout.
I don't think they're going to be able to pull it. I don't think Microsoft's going to be able to get it. Or if they do, it'll just be international and not in the U.S. And I don't think they should be allowed to. I don't think they should be allowed to buy. I don't think they should be allowed to get Activision Blizzard until Bobby Kotick and his little cadre of dick munchers
Leave.
face some. They have to face some form of. They have to face some form of retribution for what they've been doing. They can't just, oh, we just took our golden parachute and ran off into the sunset. It's like, no. Not after what they did. Like people breaking into the breast cancer the nursing rooms and stealing the breast milk from the refrigerators, and sexual harassment for years and years, and the mistreatment of employees. Like, you can't just say, oh, well, that was then and that's okay now. It's like, no,
Yeah,
you don't get to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it happened under your watch, so there should be some repercussions.
You don't get to walk off into the sunset. Well, we made a lot of money for our shareholders, so fuck it. No, you don't get to do that. All right, and I know some people are gonna get mad, be like, well, blah blah blah. They don't get that is not fair nor equitable. All right, it's not right. Okay, you don't get to do the shit that Bobby Kotick did and his little executive board and be like, oh well, they made a lot of money for their shareholders, so everything is forgiven. No, nah, bruh, unacceptable.
Yeah.
Now, I know some people are gonna get mad at me and be like, well, and the fact that Phil Spencer tried to bail them out helped bail this asshole and his little cadre out is not right. It's not right. Now he did what a good business person does. What you see a property in distress and you're like, look, we can make some money. I understand that. I'm not saying I'm against people making money, but I mean, this isn't just someone trying to make some money. This is a company where, I mean, Bobby Kotick and his little cadre need to be drawn up on criminal charges. There needs to be there's major problems. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yet, nothing's being done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matter of fact, it looks like they're gonna get. It looks like they're gonna get a golden parachute, a pat on the back, and a golden parachute, and ride off in the sunset. No punishment, nothing. Now, I don't know about you, but that don't feel right to me.
No.
You know, not to mention, and this is where the FTC does make some sense. If Microsoft is able to buy Activision Blizzard, they can control every single aspect of, that shit, of those IPs. And they're already doing that shit with Blizzard.
Yeah.
So I'm a little concerned. All right, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I mean, if you aren't concerned, I have a problem if people have no concern.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely is. Definitely is a problem. But is there anything else you'd like to bring up before we call it a night?
No, that's it.
All right. Well.
Didn't have a huge amount, just a small amount of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Like to pimp your stuff out before we head out.
I would. Basically, this is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor BS Busters. BS Busters is a channel where we talk about bullshit in the video game industry, stuff like that. I'm in the process of getting a female gamer to be on the channel, so we have different points of view from different viewpoints, which is a bit redundant, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, look forward to that. That's going to be fun, blah, 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 yakety smackety. You guys know the drill. Also, what else am I doing? Let's see. I'll also probably be doing some gameplay footage of me playing some games that I recently bought, like Chained Echoes and what's the other one? High on Life, where aliens have figured out they can turn humans into drugs. So you have to stop that shit from going down. Stop humans being turned into drugs with guns that talk. So that's kind of interesting. So that's going to be fun. That's it.
All right. Well, this is Kenoshi Abominito here with Project Console, episode 56. Another episode in the can. Have a good week. Have a good life. Or have a good week. Have a good weekend. And have a good life. Check you guys out next week.